The Boondocks looked like a cartoon, but it spoke like a sermon. Beneath the jokes, the satire, and the over-the-top fights, this show was decoding something serious: how slavery never really ended. It just changed shape. What Aaron Magruder created wasn't just animation, it was analysis. Every character, every plot twist, every punchline carried a message. And if you were really paying attention, it was clear. Slavery didn't vanish. It evolved into mindset. So in this video, we're gonna look at how these 5 characters represent 5 real-world mentalities that came out of generational trauma, cultural survival, and straight-up media manipulation. And we're not just looking at them like fiction. We're looking at them as a mirror. Let's get into it. Huey Freeman, the revolutionary mind. If you want to understand the revolutionary black spirit in modern America, just look at Huey Freeman. This character ain't just a smart kid with a fro, he's a symbol. Huey represents the mind that refuses to be fooled. He reads, he studies, and he sees straight through the illusions. Whether it's politics, culture, or economics, Huey always breaks it down with clarity and precision. He's that voice in the room that says, "Y'all don't see what's really happening here?" But the revolutionary mind has always come with a cost. Society doesn't celebrate minds like Huey. It labels them. They get called angry, difficult, paranoid, or radical. Huey doesn't get the platform he deserves. Instead, he's boxed in, misunderstood, and sometimes even feared. That's how it's always been with freedom fighters. Huey is channeling the spirit of Malcolm, Assata, Huey Newton, Angela Davis. Truth tellers who got pushed to the margins because their truth made people uncomfortable. And let's be real, many of us know someone like Huey. That cousin who's always reading, always posting woke threads online, always calling out the system at family gatherings. They get laughed at, silenced, or ignored. But deep down, people know they're right. That's why the Boondocks hit different. It put the revolutionary mindset in the body of a kid, showing how even the youngest black voices can carry ancient wisdom. But Huey's struggle also exposes something painful. When you wake up in a world that's still sleeping, you get lonely. You start to wonder if the truth even matters when nobody's ready to hear it. And that right there is a slavery of a different kind. The slavery of isolation. It's not just about chains on the body. It's about what happens when the mind breaks free, but the world refuses to follow. Huey's not angry just to be angry. He's fighting for something. He wants us to see, to question, to resist. But he's doing it in a world that rewards silence and punishes rebellion. That's why his presence matters. He reminds us that even when the world gaslights you, even when it tries to label your clarity as madness, you don't stop speaking the truth. Huey is the revolutionary mind, awake, aware, and always in conflict with a system that thrives on silence. And every generation has one. The question is, are we listening? Riley, the misguided. Riley Freeman is not evil. He's just misled. He's the byproduct of a world that profits from confusion. A young boy raised on late-night rap videos, violent cartoons, and a culture that praises aggression over introspection. Riley believes that being feared is the same as being respected, that violence equals power, that rebellion means throwing fists, not raising consciousness. But none of that came from him. It came from a system that has always known how to rebrand the chains. Riley's mind was colonized, not by slave masters with whips, but by executives in boardrooms. The media told him who he was. It sold him a version of blackness that was loud, reckless, and dangerous. He didn't get that from his grandfather or his community. He got it from a screen. And now he acts out a script that he didn't write. This is how slavery continues, just wearing different clothes. Instead of whips, it uses miseducation. Instead of chains, it uses music videos, movies, and social media. Riley is chasing a kind of manhood that was never real. And the sad part is, millions of black boys are doing the same. The Boondocks uses Riley to show how easy it is to turn victims into participants. How the same system that broke our ancestors now tricks their descendants into breaking themselves. Uncle Ruckus, the self-hating mind. Uncle Ruckus isn't just a joke character. He's a mirror, a disturbing one. He represents the kind of psychological slavery that doesn't need chains, just a lifetime of lies. Ruckus openly rejects his blackness. He claims to have a vitiligo, a made-up condition that turns his skin white. He praises white people, worships white culture, and calls black people lazy, violent, and inferior. It's disgusting to watch, but it's also heartbreakingly real. What Ruckus carries is internalized racism, the slavery of the self. He's been poisoned by centuries of anti-black messaging, the kind that was taught in schools, preached in churches, and baked into television and film. He doesn't just hate other black people, he hates himself. His reflection is his enemy. And that mindset didn't start with him. It was passed down like tradition, like scripture, like law. Ruckus is the end result of a world that told black folks they were never enough. What makes Ruckus terrifying is that he's not just fiction. You'll see a version of him on your job, in a comment section, in your own family. Some people still believe that the closer you are to whiteness, the safer you'll be. That sounding articulate means you've escaped racism. That criticizing black culture earns you points in white spaces. These are survival tactics turned into belief systems. The Boondocks doesn't make Ruckus for laughs. It makes him to ask a hard question. How many of us are still in chains, even while we think we're free? Ruckus is what happens when the body is free, but the mind never left the plantation. Tom Dubois, the assimilationist. Tom Dubois has a great job, a nice house, and a white wife. He wears suits, speaks proper English, and sends his daughter to good schools. By most standards, Tom has made it. But the Boondocks shows us that success doesn't always mean freedom. Tom is still trapped, not by violence or poverty, but by illusion. He believes that if you work hard, follow the rules, and keep your head down, racism will ignore you. That's the lie. Tom is what happens when comfort becomes a cage. He's educated, but blind to the system that still owns the game. He wants to believe that America is fair, that justice is neutral, and that the past is just that, the past. But the Boondocks constantly challenges that view. Tom is scared to rock the boat, not because he's weak, but because he thinks the boat finally let him on. He doesn't want to lose his seat. This kind of mindset is everywhere. It's the coworker who says racism isn't a problem anymore. The neighbor who thinks police brutality is just a few bad apples. The friend who says, I don't see color. It's a seductive way of thinking because it promises peace, but only if you stop fighting. Tom is not a villain, he's a warning. He shows how the system doesn't just break people with violence. Sometimes it does it with comfort. It rewards silence, pays off obedience, and then calls that freedom. But real freedom means confronting the truth, even if it cost you your seat at the table. Tom is proof that you can climb the ladder and still be standing in the same old prison, just with better lighting. Granddad, the survivor. Granddad isn't trying to change the world. He's trying to survive it. After living through racism, poverty, violence, and disappointment, his priority is simple: comfort. He doesn't want to march. He doesn't want to protest. He wants peace, food on the table, and a roof over his head. That might sound passive to some, but it's deeper than that. Granddad represents a generation that learned how to live through the fire, not necessarily how to put it out. He's tired, not blind. This is what happens when trauma lasts a lifetime. Survival becomes the goal, not liberation. For Granddad, the revolutionary fire that burns in Huey is exhausting. Riley's chaos is frustrating. All he wants is quiet. That's not weakness. That's what years of battle can do to a person's spirit. He lived long enough to see many things, but freedom might not be one of them. And that's the tragedy. Granddad's survival mindset is real and honest, but it also shows how oppression can reshape our dreams. Freedom gets redefined into just making it through the day. The revolution fades into the background, and people start to believe that rest is all they're allowed to want. But rest without power is not freedom. Peace without justice is not safety. Granddad survived the system, but he didn't escape it. And many people today are still stuck in that same space, alive but not free. Look around and you'll see these 5 minds everywhere. Huey's the voice that won't shut up about justice on Twitter or at the protest, always dropping truth, even when no one's listening. Riley is that kid chasing clout, posting flexes, rapping about a lifestyle he doesn't understand, confused about what manhood or power really means. Ruckus? He's the one in the comments blaming black people for everything while calling whiteness the gold standard. He might have a platform, a mic, or even a seat in the boardroom, but his mind is still shackled. Then there's Tom, the educated 9-to-5er who's convinced we're post-racial. He doesn't believe in systems, only hard work. He thinks racism is exaggerated, as if his degrees made him immune. And of course, there's Granddad in every church pew and Sunday dinner, telling the younger ones to keep their heads down, be grateful, and not cause trouble. Not out of hate, but out of fear. Fear born from surviving too much for too long. But here's the catch. Sometimes all 5 of these characters exist in one person. Many of us carry pieces of Huey, Riley, Ruckus, Tom, and Granddad without even realizing it. Recognizing that is the first step to healing. You can't break a cycle you don't see. You can't unlearn what you never named. To break the mental chains of slavery, we first have to admit that they're still there. In our culture, in our conversations, and in our choices. And only then can we start rewriting the script. The Boondocks was never just about laughs. It was a blueprint in disguise. A mirror held up to a broken system and a broken people. It showed us what slavery left behind, not in our bodies, but in our minds. It unpacked the fear behind our bravado, the pain behind our silence, and the pride we wear just to survive. Every character was layered. Every episode was a lesson, whether we were ready for it or not. We didn't ask to inherit these chains, but we can choose not to pass them on. That's where the power is. That's where the healing starts. So the real question is, which mind do you feed? The one built on fear and survival? Or the one ready to question everything and grow past it? And which one do you silence? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like the video if this hit home, and don't forget to subscribe for more content that actually says something. We see you. Peace out.